good morning, and welcome to the Brenda Perryman Show right here on TV 33 WHPR, Comcast 90 in Oakland and Livingston County, and Comcast 91 all over the city of Detroit, and we're all over the world courtesy of the World Wide Web. And this is a beautiful day. It's Friday, the end of the week, almost the end of the week for most people. And for me, it's just the beginning. And I have a great show for you today. My second guest on my next segment is the great Hester Wheeler, so I want you to stay tuned for that. But first and foremost, we got a lot of information for you from my dentist, the Livingston Family Dentistry, Dr. Ron and Dr. Blake.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm blessed.
Doing good.
I know. Happy New Year.
Happy
and
New
all
Year to
that
you,
good
too.
stuff.
Happy New Year.
You know, but it seemed like I was just saying Happy New Year to 2015 when that came in.
I know it's going too fast.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, maybe that's it. Time flies when you're getting old. That's what I was thinking.
It's flying too fast.
I know. Think about what happened in the year. You had a baby.
Yep.
And how is she?
She's doing good. She's 4 months old today.
Dang.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
today. Yeah, 4 months.
Yep.
Is she talking still?
She's babbling, trying to roll around and standing up and grabbing stuff, grabbing her feet. So,
Smiling, laughing.
Smiling, laughing.
I
yeah.
will say this, and I told someone this yesterday. You love your children, but when it comes to the grandchildren, you love them so much. It's
Oh, yeah.
a love you never, it's
It
an
is.
unrecognizable love.
It is. I depend on those pictures every day. I tell 'em, where's my daily picture? I got to have a picture every day.
I know.
She's always doing something new. Everything is new to a baby.
I know.
So they
And
get so excited.
when she gets older, you're going to say to him, well, wow, you didn't let me get away with that.
Oh yeah, it's different.
You know, grandparents let children get away with stuff.
He
So-
got away with a lot.
Oh,
His grandparents let him get away
but
with a lot.
he ended up okay.
Oh, he did okay. I'm blessed.
Okay. So this year, last time you brought a package in with the electric toothbrush.
The electric toothbrush,
right.
it's still sitting there, and we're waiting. People want to come in and try to win that, and come on in. And
Okay, tell my audience what's in it.
We're giving away an Oral-B Triumph electric toothbrush, which is top of the line electric toothbrush. It comes with a package with the electric toothbrush, multiple toothbrush heads, some floss, toothpaste, a big mouthwash. Basically, what we're doing is we're doing a raffle for new patients at the end of February, and this toothbrush is, I think it's like $120, $130 or something like that.
And
but
there's nothing like an electric toothbrush.
there truly is nothing like an electric toothbrush. Studies have shown that electric toothbrushes are more effective than a regular toothbrush. And I have a patient recently who's a prime example of this. He had poor oral hygiene, and I said, you need to, if you're going to be, and he's told us he wanted to get serious about it. He wanted to take care of what he needed to take care of.
How old was he?
He's in his early 40s, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yep, early 40s.
But he had a lot of issues, and we told him, if you want to get serious about it, throw away your old toothbrush, go get an electric toothbrush today. He said, I'm going today. And then over the course of a couple months, we completed his full treatment, and I saw him yesterday. It's night and day. Night and day. And this is, the reason is because an electric toothbrush does so many more brushes per minute than a regular toothbrush will do.
Yeah.
So even if your technique is poor, you're going to do a better job of removing plaque than a regular toothbrush will.
Do you recommend them for children?
I do. And now you don't necessarily need a top-of-the-line electric toothbrush for a kid, but something
They have
battery-operated
those
that's
battery-operated
something
ones.
battery-operated that spins is going to do a much more effective job of removing plaque than a regular toothbrush will, because even adults lose focus while they're brushing their teeth, so it's even more difficult for a kid to keep focus for 2 minutes and do what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, people wake up in the morning and they're thinking about other things.
Right,
when they use
exactly.
a toothbrush.
You're a zombie. So what I like about the electric toothbrush is, because I use the Oral-B Triumph, it vibrates every 30 seconds. So, you're supposed to spend 30 seconds per quadrant. So I know, eyes are half open, and when it vibrates, okay, time to move to the next area. So you know what you're supposed to be doing in that section. You only have to focus a little bit.
Right.
I mean, and the studies have shown that an electric toothbrush will do the same amount of brushes in 2 minutes than a regular toothbrush will do in 30 days.
Well, I want to go back to the past a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think our audience needs to know a little more about you all, because you're a story that doesn't get told. Now, you've been over on their offices on Woodward.
Right, Woodward and 2 blocks north of the Davison, right in Highland
And,
Park.
you've been there since.
I've been there since 1981. What's it, 34 years, 35 years? And before that, my stepfather, Dr. Richard Vaughn, was there since the early 70s. He was one of the first board-certified oral and maxillofacial surgeons, graduate of the University of Detroit.
Along with Dr. Perkins.
Dr. Perkins. He and Dr. Perkins were the only African-American oral surgeons in the city for many, many, many years. Dr. Perkins was on the Boulevard, West Grand Boulevard. He retired many years ago.
He
And
was on 12th Street, then the Boulevard.
then the bar, you're right.
Yeah, and
Yep.
I talked to him last week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, he's still kicking and doing great. He's a great patron of the arts, and he's a Black History.
Oh, yeah.
He's got
He
beautiful
is
black art.
history.
Yeah.
It's funny because my daughter was in the museum, African American Museum once, and she said, "Mom, I saw something on Dr. Perkins."
Oh,
It's
yeah.
in there, you know.
Yeah, but that is part of the history we grew up. You know, we had to, education was emphasized strongly. I don't know if there's a word more than strongly, but it was education was important from
Well,
the cradle.
and it was expected that
Oh,
you
yeah.
do okay.
Right.
you
It
know,
wasn't a matter of are you going to college. It was a matter of what college are you going to. And that's the way it is in our family with our nephews. All of our nephews are college graduates and postgraduates and orthodontists and have MBAs and that type of thing and lawyers. And that's what we like to see in all of our
You
families.
can pick up other entrepreneurial skills, not necessarily going to college, but going to some kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
trade.
You gotta go to
or,
school.
Yeah, you got
gotta go. Community college, there's so many- right.
Because people sit up crying about not a job, but there's so much training out
Right,
there.
right. Exactly.
And college isn't for everyone, but
No.
there is always something for you to receive further training to make yourself a viable candidate for other jobs.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so funny. I have a former student who graduated from Spelman, and she decided that she wants to do hair. So that's what she's doing.
Well, I mean, right.
another one from Michigan.
Right.
She has her own business
Right.
doing hair.
Right.
She graduated from U of M. And, go where your passion is.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, they say if you do the job that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So,
Absolutely.
you know, if you love it, it's a joy to come to work every day.
That's the way I felt when I was teaching.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well, you influenced a lot of people, too. So,
But, okay, so what made you get into dentistry?
Well, I've been around dentistry my entire life, obviously.
But
And
sometimes that turns people off when they
Yeah,
get
it does.
around a
Yeah.
certain.
that's true.
Right.
But I got to see the advantages of what being a dentist is. You're your own boss. You make your own hours. You don't have to answer to anyone except for the patients. Okay, so
and his dad.
and his dad and my dad. So it's a rewarding field for yourself and for what you get to provide for patients. And I was always interested in sciences. I knew I was going to do something in the science field. I majored in biology. When I got to college, I didn't know what I was going to do, but it seems like it was a good fit for me. And
Had
and-
you ever considered any other?
yeah, I was interested in art.
Really?
Yep, and that is something that actually plays into the dental field because part of dentistry is science, part of it is an art form.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
I mean, when you have to look at people, see how, what kind of teeth would fit in their mouth.
Right,
too.
exactly.
Because I've seen people who've had to get false teeth, and sometimes they're too big for their mouth.
yeah.
I've seen it.
I mean, also you're dealing with basically it's sculpture when I'm making a filling. I mean, that's a sculpture. It's
Right,
a little tiny
that's
sculpture,
true.
but it's a sculpture.
tiny
sculpture.
So I mean, it takes and a lot of dentistry requires a lot of perceptive ability and hand-eye coordination. And I play a lot of video games, so that helped too.
You know, why do you think this story is important? I know why I think it's important because we have, us as parents, we're into our little thing, but we have to look at what we can have a big influence on what our children do. They don't necessarily have to do what we do, but they can develop maybe our work ethic. That was something. Work ethic is important. Don't you agree?
Oh yeah, we've at this point right now we have two young men who we're mentoring in our office and actually are employees now, because they showed so much interest and they were so serious about becoming a dentist and being in the dental field that they did such a good job. We hired them. They came at no pay originally just to shadow, but as we got to know them, they got to know us. Now they're employees, and we're proud to have them. But we always try to have at least one student in there that we can mentor and kind of show them the way. And sometimes we've had situations where we mentored young people and they went on and did something else, but they became successful at what they did.
Right, right. It's just a lot of things that go into just having a successful career.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But it helps. I mean, with our community, we have to help each other,
We have to.
especially the young men. I mean, we help there's young ladies in our office too that they're employees, but we try to mentor the young guys that are just getting in college, and we've been pretty successful at that.
And the dental field and medicine in general is lacking in black men.
Yeah.
And
Right.
especially in dentistry. I mean, when you look at the number of dentists, if you look at the percentage of African American males in dental schools, there's a higher percentage of Native American females. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Of Native American females,
Yeah.
a higher percentage
Right.
Than black males in dental school.
Right.
So I don't even know where they're finding Native American females, let alone ones that want to become a dentist. It doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
The numbers don't add up. So what we need to see is more of a focus on our sciences, because most people, when you tell them, they ask me, what do you have to do to become a dentist? I said, well, you have to be a science major, biology, chemistry, something like that. You have to have a high GPA. And they say, well, what kind of science class? I say, you got to take biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, physiology, biochemistry. Oh, no, I'm not interested in any of that stuff. Well, that's because the focus isn't being put on that earlier on.
Right. Well,
Right.
some of the STEM schools, the schools that have the STEM science, technology,
Right.
Math.
engineering, and
Right.
math.
Yeah.
Well, what else do we see? And I see young people, and they'll say, "Oh, I don't want to do that." They want to have what you have, but I always tell them, "You can't have what that other person has unless you do what they did to get it."
Well, there's a saying, Bob Marley said, everybody wants to get to heaven, but nobody,
Nobody wants to die. That's right. You got to.
And that's the truth with some people.
Right.
But I've decided to mentor this young lady. She doesn't even know it yet because I've been watching her. And she wants to have some programs for young people. And so I'm going to call her. At first, she wanted to just come up with a program. She had no track record or anything. I said, in order to do some things or get funding, you have to have a track record.
You have to, and you have to go through the process.
You have to go through the process.
It's a process.
So I said I can help her out with
Right.
that, so I'm going to reach out and do that. Now you have some nice
Articles. This
Articles.
is one we just saw in the paper yesterday.
These are all some recent articles that we've seen about gum disease. Gum disease is making its way to the news, so it's
Yeah,
good
we
because
talk about that every
we
time.
we do,
Yeah.
because it really has an effect on the full body, on the whole body. There's a systemic effect of periodontal disease, and
How
it
can
seems
you
to be
tell
neglected.
you might have gum disease again?
Gum disease is identified typically by red, inflamed gums, bleeding when you brush. You start to see the root of the tooth because the gum is pulling away from the tooth.
Tooth looks longer. In that
Tooth looks
point.
longer. Yep. Teeth are getting loose or shifting. Those are the main signs clinically that you can see.
All right. This is an article I saw with it was in Dear Abby. This was in yesterday's Detroit News.
Dear Abby's still around?
I think it's another
it's a new
Dear
Abby.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, she'd be
She-
150 years old by
Yeah,
now.
this is Dear Abby's granddaughter probably, and the title caught my attention. It says father with gum disease needs good chewing out, and basically says my husband has developed a bad case of periodontal disease. I'm afraid to kiss him because I don't want the bacteria causing the disease to spread, and his bad breath is unbearable. Our sex life is suffering because of it. We have two beautiful children, and I love him very much, even if he loses all his teeth at age 37.
37.
I've explained how extremely important oral hygiene is to overall health, especially heart health, and how his unwillingness to deal with this sends a wrong message to our kids. And on and on and on. But that's how it's, I mean, even in Dear Abby, people are writing letters to Dear Abby about their 37-year-old husband who's about to lose all of his teeth due to gum disease.
Now, one of the important things that's in this article is there's a couple important things. One, she talks about how gum disease is related to heart health, which is important, but there's a stronger link to diabetes. Okay, diabetes.
You know our community and
That's
diabetes.
and actually our community in periodontal disease. There's a higher occurrence and risk for gum disease in our community than any other group. I think maybe except for Hispanic Americans. Okay, so we're at higher risk for gum disease, which is directly linked to diabetes. The amount of bacteria and the severity of your gum disease will contribute to your blood sugar. After the studies have shown that
Really?
studies have shown that following a scaling and root planing, which is the treatment for gum disease, also known as a deep cleaning, that when they check patients' blood sugar before and then they check it after, the blood sugar has dropped. Okay,
Wow.
because the bacteria, diabetes is a disease of inflammation. Causes inflammation throughout the body, the eyes, the extremities, etc., the blood vessels, and so is periodontal disease. It's a disease of inflammation. That bacteria that builds up on the gum line and below the gum line it causes inflammation, and that's basically what our body is fighting. And that bacteria goes into your bloodstream. Okay, and what happens is when that gets into your bloodstream, it causes the inflammation throughout the body, just like diabetes does, just like heart disease does. And if we don't treat the gum disease, it's just gum disease is a chronic infection. It's a continuing process. It's not like it takes a nap at night. It just keeps going 24 hours a day unless it's treated. Now, the other important thing that I saw
Could
here.
it ever go beyond treatment? In other words, somebody doesn't get it taken care of, and is it ever a point of no return?
Yes. Gum disease is irreversible. What happens when you have when it's advanced beyond gingivitis? Gingivitis is a precursor to gum disease. It goes gingivitis, then it progresses to periodontitis, which is gum disease. What happens when you have gum disease is it destroys the bone that supports the teeth, the jawbone. Okay, and then as that bone disappears, teeth get loose and then they fall out.
You have a jawbone here.
That's
don't
right.
you?
That's right.
Everybody, look at this.
This is what happens. The only purpose of the jaw is to hold teeth.
Really?
Yes.
That's the only purpose.
That's the
of
only
jaw?
function of the jaw.
Not
So
to
the-
go up and down and chew.
Oh,
Well-
yeah. Well, that's the purpose of the teeth.
Oh, okay.
So the jawbone is to hold those teeth so they can do their job. Now, when you have all your teeth, the jawbone height is tall because the jaw is holding the roots of the teeth and holding the teeth in place.
And as we know, some people have very long roots.
Right. And as when the teeth are removed, the bone will start to shrink. And this model is a perfect example because the lower mandible shrinks at a much more rapid rate than the upper jaw. Okay, so that's why we have a lower one, not an upper one. When you take all those teeth out, that jaw will shrink. And as years go on, since there's no teeth in there, it will continue to shrink to the point where even wearing a denture is impossible. So,
Really?
Oh, yeah.
yes, because it's so thin, you can't support anything. It's flat, it's flush with the floor of the mouth.
We also will see, like an area here where the mental nerve comes out, and you can see there's a large space between that nerve opening.
Oh, so that nerve would be down in here.
Yeah,
somewhere?
yeah.
Yep,
And
exactly.
as that deteriorates, it exposes that nerve.
And then wearing a denture,
And then you're
on
wearing a
that area
denture on top of that
irritates it
nerve. Oh
constantly.
yeah, and it can be very uncomfortable. Not to mention, it's just like a house. It's only good as its foundation. So we get a situation too where we have patients who come in who've been wearing a denture for 30 years, and I always joke with patients and say your denture shouldn't be older than your dentist. But the dentures and partials last about 5 years because, like Dr. Blake is saying here, if you have a denture made when your bone level is this height, and then 5 years, 10 years later it's at this height, there's a space between the original height and the current height. So there's a gap between your denture and the bone. That's why the denture moves around like that. And that's why Polydent and Fixodent make billions of dollars a year because people want to try to glue that in. But then what you have is a denture that's riding back and forth on top of
And
that bone.
can scrape your gums, can't it?
It will
Oh, yeah.
irritate your gums. It can
Oh,
cause
yeah.
chronic irritation, which
Right.
can lead to lesions on the tissue that need to be biopsied to make sure they're
Correct.
not precancerous,
Right.
things like that. Replacing your denture is very important. A denture, and also another thing that can lead to irritation of the gums is leaving your dentures in 24 hours a day,
Oh, yeah.
which a lot of people
We see
do.
that every day.
Dentures are not meant to be worn 24 hours a day. Denture worn overnight, it's like wearing a wet sock. It irritates the tissue underneath the denture.
Right.
Okay,
And I always mention to patients, it's kind of like wearing your shoes. You wear your shoes all day, every day, but you don't sleep in them. Okay?
Right.
And you can imagine if you slept in your shoes every day,
Oh, that would be
when you
awful.
finally take them out, your wife would leave the room. So, and everybody else would leave the house. So you have to take those out. Not to mention that the mouth is full of bacteria. It's a bacteria factory. So they're going to go into all those little grooves and nooks and crannies in that denture, and they're going to continue to grow and proliferate. We've seen patients who leave their dentures in and will get a fungal infection. Like baby
thrush.
bottle. Yeah, like thrush, like babies that keep milk in their mouth all the time, and they get that fungus infection, that white film on the roof of their mouth.
How
That,
some people have the baby bottle and the baby just has it in their mouth all
Right.
day, just anytime, and that can be very
Oh, yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah, that's That's a what we call baby bottle rot. That's a big no-no. You know, babies aren't supposed to go to bed with a bottle unless there's water in it because milk has a high content of sugar. So, not as much as juice or pop per se, but when you go to sleep with a bottle in your mouth, you're going to rot out those front teeth. And then we see it all the time. I mean, because people don't know.
We also see, even if people aren't aware of this, that even using sippy cups will decay the underside of the upper front teeth. And that's very distinctive. We'll have a patient come in and we'll look, a little child, and we'll look in there and you'll see that decay on the underside of the upper front teeth. And that's right where that edge of that sippy cup.
Cases? What do you do?
Oh, they can usually be filled if you catch it early.
Yeah,
Just put a little
depends
filling
on
in
the
there.
situation.
And even with like Dr. Blake is saying, even with periodontal disease, gum disease, and this type of thing, it's all patient education. We've never seen a person who, once they were informed of these situations, didn't take care of it.
Right.
So it's basically, they've been going to the dentist and and nobody ever explained it to them. And that's where we take, a lot of time with patients.
Patient education is key. That's why you have to have things like these models, diagrams. I can tell you everything, but if you can't actually physically see, you're not really going to understand. I've been trained for a long time to know how to do
a
this.
lot of, I wouldn't say workshops, but you go to various
Health fairs.
Oh, yeah,
health
I do
fairs
health
and
fairs.
stuff.
I do health fairs. I do, I go to churches and talk to people about oral health. I think it's important because like my dad said, patient education is paramount because, like you said, once people are informed and they actually see what it can do, then their
take care of
whole tune changes.
Right.
Okay. And I want to point out this real quick because I don't want to let this go. One of the other things in this article that she talks about is how her husband's not brushing his teeth and not going to the dentist. So her son thinks
He's not brushing?
right. So her son thinks it's okay for him to not brush his teeth.
Right.
And this is something that people don't understand at all. They think that, my mom had soft teeth or my dad had soft teeth is not a thing.
What is soft?
It doesn't
What
exist.
is-
It's not. People think
Right.
because their mom had cavities or their dad had cavities that they're going to have cavities. That isn't. People who have that, it's called enamelogenesis imperfecta. You would know if you had it.
Right.
You have weaker bones. This is a serious genetic issue. It's very rare. Soft teeth is your mom drinks pop for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, doesn't brush her teeth. Your son drinks pop for dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, doesn't brush her teeth. The daughter does, the mom does. That's what's passed on, the oral hygiene and the habits, not weak enamel or thin enamel. Some people do have that, but it's much, much, much more rare
And
than people think.
and plus nowadays, whereas maybe our parents, our grandparents didn't have fluoride toothpaste, fluoride in the water, and so they may have been a little more susceptible. We see patients a lot of times, and we'll making them a set of dentures, and they will tell us, they had dentures when they were 30, but a lot of them grew up in the South. They didn't get a lot of dental care. The only treatment that they did get was an extraction, whereas nowadays with insurances and proper patient education, people are not as susceptible. But you can be a little bit more susceptible to gum disease. That has a hereditary component where you could be more easily develop gum disease than the average person who doesn't have that genetic predisposition or runs in their family. But it's like I explain to patients. Hey, there's families that have alcoholism in their family, but if you don't drink, you won't become an alcoholic.
Absolutely.
So, but it can be, you're predisposed to be an alcoholic. And I've seen people in families who the father and the mother or the grandparents were alcoholics and they died early from alcoholism, but their grandkids don't touch alcohol.
Right.
Because they've seen what it can do.
Right.
So even though you're predisposed to having a problem, doesn't mean you have to accept that problem and feed it so that you get it.
Especially considering the advances in technology that we've had from, I always tell patients, that, especially ones that are scared to go to the dentist, I said, last time you went to the dentist, your TV was the size of this table. Now it's this thin, and you can carry it with one hand,
Right,
and it's
right,
50
right,
inches big.
right.
Okay, so all that technology has made its way down to the dental field as well. So we have, better anesthesia, better techniques, better methods of doing everything.
Better replacements for teeth.
Yeah.
Right. Tell my audience real quick how about any new programs or programs, say if they don't have any dental insurance, they're
That's a good
not
question.
working or something like that, but they need some dental care. What can they do?
The most important thing to know is that if you aren't working and you need dental or medical insurance, the Healthy Michigan plan is the way to go.
That's what I wanted you
Okay.
to talk
And
about.
with that Healthy Michigan plan, we were talking about dentures and that type of thing before. With most insurances, Delta, Blue Cross, and a lot of the other ones, the big ones, Aetna, you usually will have a 50% co-payment, so you would pay half for the denture and the insurance pay the other half. With Healthy Michigan, you pay zero. And you're getting the same denture, same partial, but you have to utilize this insurance. 2017 is supposed to go back to the states to pay for it. And with this Flint situation with Michigan
And the
Oh,
DPS.
and the
Please,
DPS,
please.
and we see patients all the time where they're eligible 1 month, and then they sleep and we say, okay, Ms. Jones, you need to come in here and get this done. Okay, I will. 2 months later, they show up, they're not covered. They still need they're in pain or they have the problem, but now it's not covered. And they slept it. You can't sleep. When somebody's giving you something, you better take it.
What's important is with the Healthy Michigan plan, there's Molina Medical Plan,
Right.
Midwest Medical Plan. They have Delta Dental that goes along with them that affords you the opportunity to get basically almost anything you need done. You can have exams, X-rays, cleanings, fillings,
What do you do about that,
extractions, dentures, partials.
Tri-State Advantage with the seniors.
And the Healthy Michigan plan is for people aged 19 to 63. If you're of the age where you qualify, if you qualify for Medicaid and you get Medicare,
Wait.
if you
qualify for Medicaid.
yes, but you're of Medicare age,
65
so
and above.
65 and above, you qualify for a program that's called Tri-State Advantage through Delta Dental. You have to contact, whoever you contact for Medicare. If you have any questions on Medicare, contact them. Tell them you want to get enrolled in Tri-State Advantage with Delta Dental. It offers the same benefits as the Healthy Michigan plan through Delta Dental.
And we've literally had patients who came to us, say in November, and they didn't know about this, and they needed dentures, and we told them about this, and then in January they had all their dentures, and it didn't cost them anything. Because a set of dentures, can be a couple thousand or on up, and to get that, and it has no cost at all to you, that's pretty significant.
It's very significant. And our community, that's
yeah.
why I'm so happy that you all come, because people don't realize how important their oral health is
Right.
to
Absolutely.
their physical health.
Absolutely.
And just talk a little vanity, too.
Yeah,
right.
People want to look good. They want to smile. I know people who have a tooth missing in the front, and they smile like this, or keep their mouth closed. And I say,
Right.
I
Like I say,
there's almost no excuse.
I've mentioned this before. That's my pet peeve. When there's a house fire, they find that one with that tooth missing in the front, and they interview them. Now, there's 2 people over there that are taking care of business, but for some reason they do that. But when they do it in other communities, that never seems to happen. I wonder why.
But I just want to reemphasize what he said about Healthy Michigan Plan. Healthy Michigan Plan is a federal, it's part of
Obamacare.
Medicaid expansion, it's part of Obamacare.
And they're trying to kill that.
Right,
Yep.
and that's part of what the GOP has brought to the president. Part of it is to eliminate the Medicaid expansion. But what you need to pay attention to is in 2017, from the original plan, in 2017, the plan switches from federal money to state money. It has to be primarily state funded.
And the state is trying to kill us.
Right, and the surrounding states around us have already figured out their plan, what they're going to do to continue it after 2017. The state of Michigan, as of now, has not.
And 2017 is just next
2017 is coming very
This time
soon.
next year.
And like we said, with this stuff that's going on with Flint, what's going on with the DPS, there's going to be a whole lot of money going towards that.
year. Right.
We don't know if Healthy Michigan Plan is going to continue after 2016.
And we
so-
see patients every day, and they come in with dental problems, and they postpone it, or whatever. And we tell them, like you say, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You're going to have a problem. You're going to need it. Now, it's a matter of whether you take care of it when it's going to be free to you,
Or
you
cost
try
you
to,
thousands.
or it's going to wait till you're still going to have the problem. Now, it's going to have to come out of your pocket
Right.
significantly.
Wow.
And you can avoid, too, we see a lot of patients. Before this plan, we saw so many people when they had a toothache, they went to emergency room, they gave them a pain medication and an antibiotic and said, go see a dentist. Well, by the time Monday rolls around, the swelling has gone down, they forget about it. But then when it blows back up again in a couple months, we just had a patient I mentioned last time we were on the show. She came directly from the hospital, where she'd been in the hospital over a weekend with a blood infection from where that infection had spread from that tooth into her blood, and they had to put her in the hospital.
Gee.
And put a drain in and everything. And so she believes in going to the dentist.
Right. Well, let's give everybody the name of the office. Of course, you see the commercials on
Right.
our station, but at Livingston Family Dentistry.
Yep, our address is 13724 Woodward. We're in Highland Park, 2 blocks north of the Davison, and the phone number is 313-883-3050.
And somebody's in the office.
That's right.
now.
There's people there right now that can call and answer your questions about take your insurance or whatever you need to know.
Yeah, because if your teeth aren't,
Be coming to you, you should be coming to us.
that's right. So thank you all again.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for everything. I don't know, we really got on this and
Well, we
just
got-
got to stay on
Well, you
it
know how we
each
do it.
time.
We do this all the time with you. It's always a pleasure, always fun.
Oh,
We look forward to
it's
it.
so informative. It's so informative. You got me looking at everybody's teeth. When I meet people, I look at their teeth.
You can imagine if you were a
And
dentist.
then
Then.
when I was looking at Nikki Haley the other night giving the response, her
Mm-hmm.
teeth were so white, but I was looking at her. You told me
whites
to
of
look
her
at the
eyes.
whites of the eyes, and your teeth aren't supposed to be whiter than the whites of your eyes.
That's right.
Right.
Right. Well, we have Hester Wheeler coming on in a moment, so stick and stay. And by the way, we have Table Talk with Brenda Perryman today, and also we have a couple of gentlemen who one is playing Malcolm X, another's playing Martin Luther King. We're going to interview them during Table Talk today. That should be very interesting. The play will be at the University of Michigan, Dearborn. And so there's a lot to do today.
We'll watch that.
We'll be right back in just a moment.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.